everybody, and welcome back. Today I'm going to talk about miniature holders. So there's a Kickstarter going on right now from a guy named Stefan Rath that you may have seen because it seems to be blowing up really big. Considering his initial asking amount was just over $5,000 and he's currently at $154,000. There's a really good chance that you might have seen it. But it is for miniature holders, not these kind of miniature holders. But that's really kind of what I wanted to talk about. I mean, the thing is, this thing is just blowing up, and I couldn't quite understand why. Because when you look at the Kickstarter, there's not really anything particularly new there. I think he's essentially refined a concept that has been around for a while. And I kind of wanted to talk a little bit about the design of the holders and whether or not they help. So here's the thing about Kickstarters. Whenever I see a Kickstarter, I'm immediately skeptical. It's just the way I am. So when I saw this Kickstarter that was really aimed at somebody like me, somebody who paints a lot, somebody who perhaps derives a lot of enjoyment out of it, and maybe even somebody who makes some money at it. So you would think that my initial reaction would be to be really excited about it, but I've seen these things in the past, and every time I looked at them, I kind of went, I don't know. You know, I don't really see how it's going to improve over this. And this is essentially what I've been doing for years, which is taking a miniature and sticking it to whatever I had handy. In this case, this is just a, I'd say it's a paint bottle, but it's really just a bottle that I've had sitting around. I had a bunch of these at some point. I don't even remember where I got them. But I got this, and I have things like this, which is a measuring cup, and you just put some blue tack on there and you're all set to go. But my favorite has been the wooden spool, and it's got a nice kind of grip area to it. It's a little bit heavy because it's wood, it's solid wood, but I like it. The thing is, the reason we use these, the reason we stick minis to other things is because it just sort of gives you a better thing to hold on to than to be constantly manipulating the miniature and probably screwing up your paint job, whether that's by chipping the paint that's already there or, smearing things that are on your fingers onto the mini, whatever. It's keeping you from doing that. And that's a really, really good idea. So the idea of the miniature holder, the only thing it really seems to add is that little bar that goes over the top. And they say, well, it helps with stabilization, and it gets you in closer with with your brush, and that just seemed like kind of horse hockey to me. But I can actually test that without having to wait for the Kickstarter to end. First, if I really wanted to test that, there are other ones of these out there. Like I said, there's nothing really too new going on here. It's just sort of a variation on a theme. And I think really in the end, the big innovation, if there is such a thing, is the method that it is holding the miniatures by. The split cork that forces into a hole that then sort of does a compression hold on the base of your mini, and then having some corks that are sized for different bases and stuff. That's a little innovative, and I don't know that it's innovative, but it is new. It is not something that, as far as I know, has been available in the marketplace. So that's nice. But what I really wanted to know is, does that little bar help? And I have a 3D printer, and this design actually is available on Thingiverse for free. So if you have a 3D printer, you could test this out yourself. So all yesterday, I used this one. And it's the same basic concept except that it doesn't have anything special to hold the Mini on there. It actually, the thing has a slot in the top so that it will hold like a slot-based Mini. I'm not sure how it's going to hold it in there permanently unless you were to glue it or putty it anyway. But anyway, I had, I'm painting these Descent Minis, and I just stuck them down there with some blue tack. And then decided to paint on it. And my initial reaction was, I'm not feeling it. I don't know. I'm not entirely sure what this is adding. But over time, I realized that my hand was finding its way to this little bar, and it did seem to help. And it was really interesting. Now, I also did feel like my brush felt a little more stable. When I had my hands in different positions, that it was utilizing this bar to sort of, position myself in a way that was more comfortable to be painting. And it just surprised me that by the end of the day, I was kind of sold on the concept, and I'm actually looking forward to painting on this some more today. But there are some other things about this. It's not just, holding it like this. One of the other things that it didn't really even occur to me until I needed to do it was when I wanted to flip it upside down. So normally, if I needed to flip the Mini upside down for any reason, that means you're holding it, like this. Well, for me, it's with my left hand, and it doesn't feel particularly good, and maybe my hand's getting in the way of the light, but with a little bar, you can just grab the bar and you flip your Mini upside down, and you kind of got free access to it. You can hold it sideways pretty easily, and I don't know why, but that just seems super nice. And I was really concerned about the fact that maybe the bar was going to get in the way of painting, but it rarely does. And when it does, I can just pick up the Mini and reposition it. And that would be one of the other nice things about the Kickstarter holder, is that it is a wire that wraps around the base, and they say it's repositionable. They don't show it in the video that I've seen, but it looks like you should be able to just slide it over if you need to. And that would be a nice feature that would be beneficial over my 3D reproduction here. But I got so excited about this one that I actually printed a different one. There's a second one of these designs on Thingiverse. And I'm going to try this one out today. This one's a little bit more ergonomic looking. And I'm kind of curious whether or not this design makes any difference at all. But it should be interesting. And so I'll go back and forth between them today and get some more thoughts on that. But the thing is, I already have some of my own ideas about ways that I might design a holder for Minis with bases. And so I'm going to try my hand at designing my own. Now, let's go back to the Kickstarter, though. Is it worth it? Should you bother? I'm intrigued. I kind of want one because I like nicely made tools. But my problem is that I know that they're super nice looking, and they're just going to get covered in paint. And so if you just want the sort of base level pledge, which is a miniature holder with the bar and the cork, it's 16 euros, which I think I'm not even sure what the conversion rate is at the moment, but it's going to be, fairly close to that in dollars. Actually, I'm not even sure why it's not telling me the amount. Oh, there it is. Yeah, about $18. About 18 bucks, and you get a nice little wooden piece with the metal wire, possibly in February, maybe. And so I find myself seriously considering it. Because again, I like nice tools. But the problem is, and here's the thing that's really keeping me from doing it. It's like, look at this. This is a spool that I've been using for a while. Do you notice anything about it? Because this was just natural wood to start with. It's covered in paint. So I just know that super nice tool that maybe I'm spending 20 bucks on to hold my minis is going to look like this in fairly short order. So for me, maybe spending, $2 or $1 or 30 cents or whatever it costs for me to print up one of these is a certainly more economical answer. And if I want the larger handle on it, I can easily design one of those. And I could have 20 of these if I want, so that I can have one for every model in a unit, if that's the direction that I want to go. And so that may be the more economical answer. But, I'm also the guy that buys the Citadel tools because I like them, not because it makes any more sense to own those over something that you could get at the hardware store. So I'm no one to talk when it comes to making good decisions about tool buying. But what I really want to say is that if you're thinking about it and you're not sure whether or not it makes sense to have a holder like that, I would say, if you got the money and you want to try it out, it's not going to be a waste. It's certainly not going to be a waste of money. It's a nice looking tool. The amount they're asking for it is not unreasonable, considering how much over their initial goal was. I'd be concerned that maybe they might get bogged down in production in trying to meet this kind of wildly outrageous number of pledges they got. But other than that, I wouldn't be concerned about the tool itself and whether or not that was going to be worthwhile in the end. So yeah, I went from being super skeptical about the concept of really just this little thing right here to wanting to make my own and understanding that it's a cool thing. And I believe I'm going to continue using this for a long, long time. But that's it. I just kind of wanted to share that experience because I felt myself compelled to do that experiment and was surprised by it myself. Honestly, though, don't know about the big handle. Don't know if that makes much of a difference. I like the lightness of my plastic one over the wooden one, but it's not a big deal. It's really not a big deal. So again, if you're thinking about it, yeah, you might as well. What the hell? What's the worst thing that can happen? Is they don't deliver and you're out 20 bucks. Well, I guess there's that. But that's going to be it. That's really all I wanted to say. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.